We're not supposed to talk about money. Yeah, right, not on this channel. We talk about money all the time. If you are new to my channel, my name is Jennifer. On Money Article Mondays, we pick a random article related to money or blog, whichever, and we discuss it. Today, we are going to talk about why it is so difficult to talk about money. I personally don't find it difficult to talk about money. Been doing this on the YouTube here for a little while, so talking about money is just what I do. But in other circles of people, you can't talk about it. People are more likely to talk about intimate details and more comfortable doing so than they are talking about money. So this article was written by Megan De Matteo, and it was published on April 9th, 2021. And as always, I will have the articles linked down below for you to read fully. Megan says, we're conditioned to believe that money talk is impolite. But if you're ready to open up, here's some advice. I still remember the moment I learned that you weren't supposed to talk about money. It was summer 1999. Where was I in 1999? Let me see. I was 17? Yeah, wait, no, yeah, no, 16, 17, something, no, maybe 14, who knows? It was summer 1999 and Bewitched debut single C'est La Vie just hit number 9 on the US Billboard Hot 100. My days were spent listening to that song on repeat while I learned to French braid my hair and ride my bike with no hands. Obviously, I am older than Megan. One afternoon, my friend and I were sitting on my driveway talking strategy about how we could pull off an epic Bewitched lip-syncing concert for the neighborhood. We already had the makeup, sparkly body spray from Claire's, silver Wet n Wild eyeshadow, and purple grape-flavored lip gloss. But we needed trendy matching clothes. I make $10 babysitting the neighbor. I told my friend I was only 9. Yeah. Obviously, I am older than Megan, but the woman 3 houses down let me watch her 6-year-old. That's weird. Whenever her and her husband needed to do yard work and other projects around the house. Well, I mean, I guess that's fine because the parents are still there. My friend replied with something like, I get $10 per week in allowance. Then, as though it was the voice of God himself, my dad, who unbeknownst to us, had been within earshot of us on the porch, chimed in. Megan, he said, you shouldn't talk to people so openly about money. 20 plus years later, and I do precisely that, talk about money for a living. Putting my ambitions for singing backup for Irish pop girl bands aside, I'm pretty satisfied with my career. But can I tell you a secret? Talking about money can still be really uncomfortable. I love it when articles state statistics. I just find them interesting. The writer says, I'm not the only one who feels this way, talking about how money can be uncomfortable. A 2019 eMoney Advisor survey of 2,500 US adults, more than half, 57%, admitted to purposely avoiding money talk with their friends, and almost 2/3, 63%, stated they've never worked with a financial advisor. Now, I've never worked with a financial advisor as either. I've done all my research on my own, and I think there's so many things out there nowadays that can do that for you. I do think that, as we grow with money, we will eventually pull on a financial advisor because, at some point you do need that expertise. At this point, we don't. Could it be helpful? Possibly, but you do have to pay these folks as well. Now, as far as people avoiding money talk, what I have also found though is that if you're in a group of people and somebody starts an open conversation about money, and obviously it's people that you typically know relatively well, then other people are itching to talk about it. As just a species, we want to be with people. We want to feel comfortable around people. We want to create a tribe of people around ourselves, like-minded people or just people to have sounding boards off of, we are too much these days living inside of our own heads and not talking to other people about what's going on. So I think that when you're in a group, what I've found when I've mentioned it, especially if I've talked about my YouTube channel and what it is that I do on my YouTube channel, it actually opens up a conversation and you almost feel the other person go, well, what's your advice on this? Like, they have been searching for somebody to help them out, but too scared to talk about it. The writer continues saying, yet changing your money situation is impossible without talking about it first. I don't know if it's impossible. You can change your money situation, and I don't think you have to talk to anybody about it. You just go do some research. So, the writer says, given the rise of student loan debt, the past year's increase in unemployment claims, and and the fact that so many Americans are behind on their retirement savings, it's arguably more important than ever to talk about money. I think so as well. We do not talk about money as important or as large of a part of our world and how it goes around as money is as a tool. And as scared as we are to talk about it, it doesn't make any sense. You know, you would think that you would want to talk about something that affects your life the majority of a day. Money does affect your life, where you live, what you eat, what you do, how much you make, how much you don't make. The writer says, but if you're feeling squeamish, don't worry. Does talking about money make you squeamish? I think it more than anything, it probably stresses people out. What is it? Is it the number one cause or the number two cause of divorce? Ugh. Anyway, the writer spoke to Kristen Recupero, a Pennsylvania-based financial coach and founder of Financial Fitness Coaching, on why talking about money feels so hard and steps you can take to make it somewhat easier. She says, we have to overcome our resistance to talking about money. Yes, there's a big resistance there. Nobody wants to admit that they need help with money. That's probably true. They don't want to admit it. We have an easier time reaching out to a intimate therapist than to a financial therapist. Yes. She says, logically, this is odd considering everybody uses money, and only 6 states in the United States actually requires that high schoolers take a personal finance course. That irritates the mess out of me. The stuff that you learn in school, I don't know that I use 20% of what I learned in regular school. You know, obviously college would be different. I didn't go to college. I don't know that I use 20% of what I learned. I mostly use what I learned after to now through my own research and through trial and error and just job experience. The lack of education. I mean, there's home economics class. I took it. What did I learn? I learned how to carry around a hard-boiled egg without getting it broken. I learned how to make homemade biscuits. I learned how to make mashed potatoes. I know this is weird to think about this, with chicken broth, so you don't use as much butter. I learned how to sew, which I already knew how to do, but yet we don't. To not learn about finances, I mean, you gotta, to do any of that economic stuff, to have a kid, you definitely need some money. To, sew anything, you need money to buy the sewing machine, to buy the fabric. To make those food items, you need money to buy the food, and you need to know how to manage your money. So the fact that home economics has always been a course, but only 6 states require some sort of personal financing course is just ridiculous to me. Sorry. Went off on a tangent. Let's get back to the article. The writer says, nobody is born with an innate understanding of money, yet most of us are too embarrassed to ask for help. Yes, you're not born knowing how to manage it. Let me tell you, I still, really I didn't start learning until probably in my 30s, how to manage it properly. And that wasn't until I came across somebody teaching it in a book that actually resonated with me. But it would have been amazing to have at least known more and been taught more in high school when, my brain was so much more of a sponge. The writer says it comes down to social comparison. Recupero says we assume that those who have a nice house, nice car, nice yard, nice whatever must know how to use money. And then we feel foolish that we don't have it all figured out too. Yes, that is what most people assume. That is not what I now know. But that is what most people who don't know assume. That if you have all these things, that you have nice stuff. But with what I know now, and I see all these nice things, it's more, there's a higher percentage likelihood that you're in a whole heck of a lot of debt and you're living way above your needs than you're a wealthy person. Social media has not done us any favors. No, it has not, does not. YouTube does us a lot of favors because YouTube has a ton of information on it as far as how to budget, how to financially plan, about retirement, about early retirement, actual examples of people who are in debt and getting out of debt. And that's what I try to share on my channel, is telling you guys about how, we're trying to pay off our mortgage by the year of 2024, telling you about how stupid I was in my 20s getting into as much debt as I did. So giving you real life examples. I love, especially in books, I don't know what you guys think, but I love in books that are nonfiction books, when instead of giving me all this advice, showing me or telling me true stories, like true stories within the book that lead through the path to show you the results you can get if you follow this certain path that maybe the book is teaching you about. The financial advisor says our emotional lows have gotten worse in the last 20 years because we brought this whole keeping up with the Joneses, or as I like to say, the Kardashians, thing to a whole different level. Now it's not just your neighbors, it's everybody across the world that you were trying to keep up with. This is absolutely true. Before, so if any of you can, which I know anybody probably 30s or above can remember back to the time when there wasn't social media. So really all you ever saw outside of your daily routine was what you may have seen on TV, maybe a reality show or in a magazine. You didn't see real life examples all the time of people, how much money they had, XYZ. Now with all of these social media apps and all this stuff, people are flaunting. Even people are actually going out and renting cars to say that they own them. And this is making the younger generation believe that they can own this car by the time they're 24 if they do what this person's doing. And somehow what typically ends up happening is the person that's doing that is selling some sort of get-rich-quick scheme or course. But we believe it because we think this is a real person because they're not on TV or in a magazine. The last section in this article talks about how money habits can be hard to break. They absolutely can be very difficult to break. I still struggle. That's the benefit of doing this YouTube channel and having you guys see, because I know now that I've given to you the information that, hey, this is my plan, and if I fail, then I fail in front of all of you, which I'm sure you'd be okay with that. You know we're all human, but it kind of has given me a drive and a reason to keep going and to keep making sure that I curb my spender tendencies and continue on my frugal journey. The writer says, but let's say we do overcome our inner anxiety telling us to stay quiet or risk looking like a fool. Once we do start talking about money, often as an adult, it can be overwhelming to realize just how many years of habits we have to work on changing. Yes. And it's really overwhelming too to look back, and don't do this. Unless you're really having a hard time changing, don't do this. Look back at how much money you wasted. I haven't done it. I don't want to do it. I know it was a lot of money in my 20s. Early childhood influences us more than we realize. Behavioral researchers from Cambridge University say that kids start learning about money as young as 3, and most of their attitudes and feelings about money are formed by age 7. That is fascinating. And most people don't think that they need to talk to kids about money until, at least double digits in the early teens. But just to realize that they formed most of their attitudes and feelings, which your attitudes and your feelings about money will live with you forever. So from the age of 3 to 7, I must have somehow developed the need to spend. The article says our observations are often our first teachers, since very few parents know the best way to sit down and explain a 401k to a 4-year-old. Some adults just don't understand a 401k either. The money behaviors kids see most is spending. Everything else, like saving, budgeting, investing, and donating, happens mostly behind the scenes. So it sounds like we need to be, if any of you are parents, like me, showing more the saving, the budgeting, the investing, the donating. There's also all the marketing we have to wade through. My daughter receives a child's purse for Christmas, says Recupero. Inside there are fake credit cards, but no cash. Yes. My daughter has like this little cash register she received as a gift, and it does have a credit card and it has cash too, but it's just, that's what they think. It's the same thing with, they're not going to even, some generations, the next one may not even know about cash or know how to count change or coins. It's funny. I don't know if you guys have experienced this. If you have, leave it down below. But if I go to a restaurant with a really young person, maybe 15, 16, and one of the ones you check out at the register, and I give them cash, restaurant or anywhere, a boutique or something even, it's funny. It is, no, it might actually just be sad watching how difficult it is for them to count it out and realize and make sure how much money they have. Whereas that's all we used to do was take in cash. But now cash is just a weird object to them. Here we go. The writer says, credit cards aren't bad, she argues, just an incomplete representation of how money works. Kids associate money with plastic, but don't see the actual dollars behind what their parents swipe at the checkout. They miss out on valuable budgeting lessons, and they can't equate how many hours went into earning enough cash to make the purchase. So I think what we need to do is make sure that the next generation isn't afraid to talk about money. Obviously, their friends or their cousins or their other family members that maybe are the same age may not raise that way, but we can at least try to open up our conversations within our household, because that's where it all starts, right? To change the world is very difficult. To change the world within your 4 walls is what you have control over. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. I enjoy having you here on Money Article Monday. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you back for more videos.